Okay, in this video, we want a teleporter that can send you to another level and another position. So in my example, I might have a staircase that sends you into another level and puts you somewhere in that level. So let me have a look for a staircase. There's one. I'll put this in the props layer. And then we want to add a script to this, and we want it to detect when the player touches it. Okay, so first we want to make it so it doesn't get pushed around. So that's from events, when created, and then physics, down the very bottom, set immovable true, because we don't want it moving around. Okay, now to detect when the player touches it, from physics we want when I am touched, get toucher, and then we want if, from control flow, and then from sensing we want myself has tag name, but we get rid of myself and we replace it with variable instance toucher. So when I'm touched, if toucher has tag and then player, because we're looking for if it was the player that touched these stairs. And if it was the player, what do we want to do? We want to do three things. We want to set the player's X position, we want to set the player's Y position, and we want to set the level that the player is going to go to. And we're going to store these things in global variables. And we're also going to make them public variables as well. I'll talk a bit about that. So first, we'll go to global and local. And we want to create a global variable. Now, what is a global variable? Well, let's create it. Create a global variable. And the name on this one will be player starting X position. And the type will be a number. We can go OK. So that's created. Let's drag that out into our if block. We also want to do one for player starting Y position. So we'll go back to global and local, create global variable, call this player starting Y position. That'll be a number. Drag that one out as well. Now, a global variable is different to a regular variable in that the global variable will keep its value across all levels in the game, and every object can access the data from this global variable. So rather than it being a property of an object, let's say the player or the first NPC, they have some health, and those values could differ, a global variable will be accessible by every level and every object in every level. And we're going to take advantage of that to send information between levels. And in this case, it's going to be the player's position when they get to their next level. Now, we might have multiple teleporters, so they're all going to have their own version of where they send the player. For that, we'll create some variables. We'll go to variables this time, create variable, and this one will be called send player to this X position, and it'll be a number. And another one called send player to this Y position, also a number. Let's grab those and drag those out, connect them up to the global variables. So the player starting X position will be send player to this X position, and then player starting Y position will be send player to this Y position. Now you'd think that we would just put numbers in here, right? From operators, we might just say 1000 or something like that. But we're keeping them as variables because we're going to turn them into public variables, which every teleporter can have their own different version of a variable. We'll talk about that next. The other thing we want to do in here is tell the player which level they're going to be sent to. So that is from control flow, go to next level. But we're not going to say next, current, previous, any of that. We could throw that away. We're going to have another variable for the level number that we send them to. So we'll go to variables, create a new one, and call this send player to this level, and it will be a number. Send player to this level. Go to send player to this level. Okay, good. Now we need to give these variables, these three variables, we need to give them values. And the way to do that is by making them public. Then we can edit them in the level. So to do that, click on the menu button in the editor, the script editor, and then click Script Properties. And all of our variables here can be converted to public variables. So send player to this level will be public, send player to this X position will be public, and send player to this Y position will be public. And we could put default values in there as well if we wanted. We're not going to bother with that, so we can go done. Oh, and we need to give it a name as well. Call this our teleporter. Done. Then we can close that script and save it. Now, to give those variables values, we want to right click on our teleporter that we just made, and we'll go edit object behavior. And if you can't see the public variables in there, you might just need to open the script again, go to the script properties, and tick those again, and go done, close, and save. And if we right click on that edit object behavior, there are our variables that we can change the values of. So send player to this level. Well, I am currently on level 2, and I want to send the player to level 3. So let's say send player to level 3. And I'm going to make a new level 3 to replace that one. And that's going to be another playable level. Now, which X position and which Y position do we want to go to? Let's just put 1,000 in there for now. Or maybe 500. And we can always go and change those numbers. Okay, so that will, when the player touches it, it'll send them to level 3. We could test it now to see if it sends them to this level. If we play the game and walk up to that staircase, and boom, it sent us to level 3. So that's very good. Now I want to make my level 3 another playable level. So I'm going to duplicate level 2 by right clicking on it and duplicating it. Now I want to go to my levels sidebar, and my duplicate level here has been added to the end. I want it to be the 3rd level, so I'll move it up by dragging on its handle there, and I might rename it to level 2. So level 1 is the 2nd level, and level 2 is actually the 3rd level. And then in with my 3rd level, level 2 selected, I'm going to go and edit my level a little bit. I want this to be a little bit of a different level. And then in this level, my player is going to start in this room. Okay, so I've got my 1st level, then I've got that teleporter, which should send you to this level. Let's test that out. Cool, sends me to this level. Now make sure all of your levels have your player in them with that same player script. If I didn't have the player, then I wouldn't be able to move around in this level. Okay, now in this room I want to be able to escape back to that previous level. So I'm going to add in another set of stairs. Maybe this one goes down. Staircase there. And walking into those stairs will send you back. And I'm going to use the teleporter script that we made. So go to the code sidebar, find the teleporter script, and put it on those stairs. Then I want to edit the object behavior on that teleporter. So this one, I'm going to send the player to level 2. And the X and Y positions, I'm not quite sure. I'm going to close that, look at level 2 again. I want my player to appear somewhere around here. So where is that? We can see in the layers panel, X is about 2000 and Y is about 200. So we'll say 2000 and 200. Okay, edit object behavior on our teleporter there. That was X of 2000 and Y of 200 on level 2. Good. Now, and then when I come up these stairs, I actually want my player to appear around there, which is, what is that, 400, 300. So if I go back and edit this teleporter, the object behavior on that, I want that to send me to 400 and 300. Okay, let's test that out now. So walk into the teleporter. Now it sent me over here instead of over here. And when I went back into the other teleporter, it sent me down here instead of over there. The reason is, on our teleporter script, these global variables are not actually doing anything yet. We want our player to read these variables and position itself based on what these global numbers are. Player starting X and player starting Y. So let's go and edit our player script. Okay, in our player script, when the level starts, let's make a new section for when the level starts under events. When the level starts, we want our player to be sent to those numbers. So we'll go to transform, we'll grab set X position of myself. Now it's not going to go to 0, it's going to go to that global variable. So we'll open global and local and grab player starting X position. And then let's duplicate that and do the same for the Y position to player starting Y position. Now let's test this out. Now the game has sent us somewhere and it's kind of bugged out. The reason it's done that is we've got to remember on our very first level, before you touch any teleporters, these global variables won't have values because they only get the values when you touch them. So we need to edit our player script and get it to our player needs to detect whether or not these variables have values. And the way we can do that is ask, is this variable null? Null means it's valueless, doesn't have a value yet. So we can go to control flow and grab an if block, put this in when the level starts, and then put our X and Y position blocks inside the if block. And this if block is going to say, okay, before you go positioning me, just check, are these variables null? If they're not null, then you can go there. If they are null, we don't want to break the game, so we won't position you. So we'll go to operators and grab an equals block. And we want to know if player starting X position equals null, or does not equal null actually. It does not. So that's equals with a line through. We'll duplicate global number if player starting X position does not equal, and here we want this to say null. That's from operators, null. Like I said, null means valueless. So let's test that out now. That should get rid of the game erroring out. So there we go. And that sends us where we want to go. And that sends us back here. Very good. So that's how teleporters can work using global variables.